Hi, I'm Miltonchang of Bonsaiheirloom. Today is July the 27th, a warm but not hot summer day in California. These are the 3 trees I cut up approximately March, April this year to nothing. These are the trees, these 2 are the ones I bought from Home Depot, and they had no leaves on them. I didn't know the size of these bonsai, these maples. But this one turned out to be a really quite nice size, the leaves. This one's a little bit bigger, but it will reduce once you make it into a bonsai. So this would be a really nice bonsai. I also like the coloration, particularly green. So, you know, for $65, I got these trees, and at least half of them, 1/3 of them turned out to be really nice material. The other ones are okay, which is not bad. So now the question is, how do I turn them into a bonsai in the next step to turn it into a bonsai? So let me work on the small ones first, and then work to the big one, because I want to demonstrate a little bit more closely about the whole issue about the apex. So let's come close. Well, this tree I bought about 1.5 years ago. I wasn't sure is that a 1-year seedling or 2-year seedlings, but I've called it a 2-year seedling. So this tree is a little bit more than 3 years old, approximately, but it really doesn't matter. You know, in fact, the question is that people always ask about the age of a bonsai. Well, you know, you generally don't ask about the age of a lady, and you just guess. And everybody wants to look younger, but trees want to pretend to be older. So it's not actually polite to ask about the age, but it doesn't really matter. It's what the appearance that really matters. So I usually always start from the root by taking it out of the pot. This is actually getting to be a pretty decent trunk size, because I want to see the roots are radially out. You see how nice it is? If it's not, I cut it to make sure they're radially out. So this is going to be a really nice rootage for a bonsai. Now let's see what to do with the top. So for example, I think I'll make the tree ultimately about this big, a shohin. And so these are basically side branches at the bottom. I can cut them off and make sure they will shoot out again to create the design that I wanted. Even though they are cut off, but it served the purpose while it was growing. It's really feeding the size of this trunk. That's why you don't want to cut it that often. I need something to show you. That's why I'm doing it. Although I think this is a little bit more frequent than I like. I probably would like to do it in September, October, once a year or so. Apex right now is a little bit unclear. So I'll just cut this off and let new ones come out and then decide where's the apex later. So at a distance, you now have a decent shohin bonsai really in no time at all. Right? Here it is. So let me put on a rotation table for you, and you can see what it looks like. And look at the rootage. It's perfectly where it should be, each one should be. So looking close up, this tree is far from perfect because the branches are quite messed up in terms of where it should be. But on the other hand, the distance is very presentable. So if I put it in this pot and fill it with soil, you see that's what it looks like. And I would say this pot is a little bit too long for the height of this tree, but if it grows to about this height, it'll be about right. So theoretically, you can plant in this pot and then let it grow out and it will fit. So if I pretend it to be the real thing, I will put in some soil to make it look good, to give you a feel for what the tree will look like. So you can see this tree a little bit off-site, and then get to about this height. It will be nice in the shallow pot. Perfect. The trunk rhymes with the height of this pot. You want the trunk to be about the height of the pot. And so this will be the shohin. On the other hand, if you happen to have this pot and you put it here, it looks nice too. But again, the rootage is really round and spread out and looks nice. So that's a shohin. That's created in really 10 minutes. So now let us do the next maple that we cut up in about March, April. And again, I will first take it out of the pot. And again, I will scrape off the top so I can see the rootage, that the roots are okay. And I think the roots are okay because I cut back a lot of the redundant roots. You can see it will look really nice in a bonsai pot with the roots exposed, right? So now let's work on the top. This tree was bought from Home Depot. I suspect this tree is between 5 years old. Maybe 7, and then I chop it because it was a kind of a bushy one for landscaping, and that's what it grew in about 4 months. So then I'm doing the next step, and look, I already broke some branches, but that's too bad. It's not the end of the world. You can always let new growth come out to compensate for you broke, and so with that in mind, let's work on it. First of all, I think these are distracting. They're too long. So, it kind of confuses you. So I always do a rough pruning and leave as much length as possible just in case that I'll be using it. So now I think you need to come close up to take a look at this. So what happened here is I did not like these branches to be so close. I can imagine a tree growing out, there should be some more room. So I put a piece of rock here. I don't think it's very successful in terms of pulling it apart, but I probably did somewhat. I still don't quite like this. I think if I pull this further apart, in fact, let me break it. Yeah, in fact, I'll break this just to show you how brutal sometimes you need to be to do it right. So you can see this branch is quite close to this one. I rather like it to come out more so that it looks more like a tree, how a tree will grow to seek light. And there's just no way I can bend this at this point, wire it or otherwise, or use rock to pull it apart. So I'm going to use a chisel to break it apart. This is a very drastic move that I don't usually do, but to illustrate the creativity you can apply to your bonsai work, it's like woodworking, and then I can try to pull it apart, see if I don't break anything much. A little breaking is okay. Now you can see this branch is moving. I will stop as soon as it starts to break. You can see it starting to come apart. You can see, you can hear the cracking. It's breaking. See, I can pull it down, and I can use a piece of wood or something to hold it apart. So now this branch is much lower. You see, like this, opening up. So I have a piece of rock, so I'll put that rock back to hold it in place. Anything on hand. a piece of wood or anything. I managed to crack this open a little bit more, and someday I may do this to this tree too. In fact, why don't I just do it, and then I later on find pieces of wood to hold them apart, a triangle. So I think woodworking tools is very helpful. So later on, I'll take a block of wood and hold these three trunks farther apart, okay? In fact, maybe I see if I can squeeze this piece of rock down there again. Again, not very critical positioning, just so long as you spread it apart some. And I'm showing you how clumsy I can get. Now, it doesn't work, so I'll take a piece of wood too. In fact, let me break a little bit. You see how this is breaking? Here, from the top. Can you see the breaking? The crack? And then this one too. Can you see much? That's one, not much, a little bit, see? And then when I pull it apart, it will stay apart. Now the tree will look more spread out. Okay, now let's decide on the apex. The concept on the apex of deciduous tree is different from conifer. Conifer basically is just the one branch, no matter how old the tree is, the top is one single branch, and then it spreads out from below. Whereas a deciduous tree can have multiple apex. In a sense, the top breaks up into multiple branching. So we can keep that in mind to do this. So for example, this tree, there's not likely to be anything that will grow out of this except this little bud right here, this little bud. So one approach is to, hopefully this will come out to have the nice apex spreading out this way. I can now cut this off to encourage the growth of that little bud to become the apex. And I want to remove this little stub so the bottom bud can come through to go up. So someday, hopefully, this will come out and there will be a bud that I can use to come out this way. So this is not very critical here, but just to clean up a little bit to show the thing. Someday it will become more brittle for you to remove very easily with just a regular shear. So this branch will become the apex right here. And with that in mind, then, I think I can cut off this. And I like this to grow to the side. And then this one, you don't need it because that's at the bottom of this. And then I try to have some growth all around. Maybe this one, this is too long, so I cut it off here. And then this one, the bud is here, so I cut it off here. And I clean off this. And hopefully this will come out. Yeah, in fact, this will come out. I don't need this, right? Just imagine, you know, this will be a branch, and then I can cut off to make it like this. So again, I clean up this a little bit. And this, again, I clean up so that the new branches that comes out will be have more headroom. And then this one, let it grow. It's quite possible this will come out and to become an apex, or this one will come out to become an apex. So let me cut this off so that when they come out, there's more of a headroom for them to come out straight up, or somewhat more upright. Well, this one, you see, like this has got a very wimpy curve. So what you can do is that you can straighten it out a little bit by bending at this point, and then it will stay put. And then you cut it off here. So the possibility is that this part will come out, and then this part would be the side branches. And then I'll pull these 3 branches apart. And what happens is that when you when you break them apart like this will heal from the bottom up. That eventually the whole thing, you not even see the breakage. It's just like any other branching. And the same thing, let me clean this up. Like this one is essentially dead all around, and so it would not look really nice. Yeah, nothing is alive here, except down here. So I should cut it above that. I'm counting on this little bud to come out so that it's at the right place. The angle doesn't have to be right because I can cut it to go this way or that way. But then there will be a one branch here to fill out that hole. So you look for the small buds to hopefully, and you know it will likely to become a part of that tree. So now, this is an important apex. You can see this is going to be the taller of the 3. I think I'll make this tree, this part the apex, and these will grow up, so then the tree will be like 3, like this. So with that in mind then, I will cut this off, this little bit, because it's kind of in the way for this to be the apex. Now this will come up nicely to become the apex, and then I can clean this off later, using that later, but let this grow up first because this will become quite brittle. And if this is the case, this can become the back branch. So I can bend this a little bit and then cut this off. And the same thing here, and see what happens 3 to 6 months from now. I say right now it's July. I'll say by October 1st, we'll redo it again. And you can see these are branches for me to work with again. So this is very interesting. There are a lot of possibilities. This could be a possibility. These 2 will grow out. And I like this to fill this way. And I probably like it to go this way. This is the another one of the Japanese maple I bought from Home Depot around March, April, and I cut it up. I think this may turn out to be the nicest one. The leaves are particularly green and also of a reasonable size and shape. It just looks nice. For some reason, the leaf is just more pleasant. That's the finest about detail in bonsai. You look for the little features that distinguishes the tree. And also the leaves are relatively small. I'm actually tempted to do cuttings of these, although I have better name varieties to do so. But this is almost as good as any name varieties, but it doesn't have a name. Maybe I should mention, name a miltonchang special. But anyway, so let's do this into in the next step of turning this into a bonsai and see what it's most suitable to become. So again, I take it out of the pot and get rid of all the top dressing so I can see the roots, because roots is the most important part of a bonsai. Look at how much it has grown. In fact, the top dressing is all filled with roots. So when the conditions right, this is good soil, not too much compost. And I cut off this drastically before, but it comes right back. They're all very, deciduous trees tend to be very vigorous in growth. And even though this is a summertime, not the best time to fool with the roots, but I'll do it just so that I'll have a better tree rather than a so-so mediocre tree. But I should also plant them more in the middle so the roots will develop more symmetrically. I can also put in a bigger pot. Yeah, okay, that will do it. But I need to see the roots to make sure it's all radially going out. Wow, look at the amount of aggressive root growth. Okay, that's what happened. I broke off a piece. So I would likely to bury it underneath high. So this would develop into roots, and I cut it off right here. So then these roots will become on top to make it radially out. So this is the reason is I broke this part to get this piece of the tree, but it's not standalone by itself at a time. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the top. Again, let me just cut off the redundant branches so I can kind of formulate a design and leave some extra length to give me design options. Well, this is almost tried to become a broom-style tree, which is the standard design that looks like this. And it would be nice for a maple tree to look like that. See that? So that's the design outline I should follow to make it into a tree that's more like a broom style, like an umbrella. And that's what a mature tree looks like. The top really looks like a semi-dome. Okay, so this is what I would attempt to make it to become. So always begin with the apex, the top of the tree. I think I can make this part a little bit taller like this so that it's not like a lumpy dome. And then this a little bit lower, and then this one a little bit lower. So let me work on this one at the top first. This is dead, although this part is alive, but I think I'll start off right about here. So this part, even though it's got a little growth, it's kind of a little bit too high. So I might as well make these the apex. I didn't say this the apex, I say these branches the apex, because the apex for a deciduous tree can be multiple branches. So this part can fill up quite nicely to make this the kind of a separate branch. But right now it looks very bare. I don't particularly like this wimpy curve, so I try to bend it straight so that it doesn't look that, so get more power. And I have to do it slowly so I don't break it. And if I break it, I'll probably try to heal it. And then this way, I don't know, but hopefully this will branch come out this way. So I cut off at this node. So that took care of that branch. Now let's take care of this branch. Again, where I clipped it, this branch did not make it because there's not enough buds. The buds start here. So I need to cut this off. Let me see if this cuts a little bit easier. And I think it's okay for this one to come out to be the apex. And then this one, I think this is okay to come out. So that's the this branch. Now this one's really interesting, got quite a few branches, so it gives me a lot of options. Seems like this tree is growing like this, and then this one kind of tried to overtake it from here to catch the sun. So that's very interesting looking. Eventually this one will be a lump here, and where this one is over here. The point is that it doesn't matter how the branches comes out because it will come out in multiple directions for you to choose, but it's to find the bud at the right place so they can come out. And then if it comes out this way, multiple ways, you cut it to keep the one that you wanted to go that direction. And so the main thing is to cut the bud where you want the branch to come out. Less important is the direction. And like this one, if this one comes out, it'll be too close to this. So I cut it over here, then there's a chance to come out this way eventually. Now let me work from the top down. I'll work on these two. So today we did 3 Japanese maples. This is the last of the 3. You can see I broke it off from another tree last time. So there was a big tree behind it, but it rooted out already. So I would try to make the rest of it root up on top so that the tree, the top would be like radial or out like that. Or maybe plant it a little bit slanted so that this would be touching the ground like this. And then the tree, I think you can visualize, this would be a big lump, and this would be a big lump. And then the smaller tree, so like basically a semi-circle, but with the branches breaking out beyond that to get taller. And so that's how the tree grow in nature. Okay, so that's one. In short, then, the process is to cut off the really tall branches to roughly see what the design in your head, and then try to cut off the rest of the branch to fulfill that design objective, and keep as much as you can. When in doubt, keep it, because you can always clip it again. And don't be afraid to make mistakes, because the branches will come out to let you change your new direction the next time. And if you see a branch that's a little wimpy, like a curve, you try to straighten out a little bit, and it will straighten out eventually anyway. So. These are probably 6 to 8 years old trees. They were probably going from a seedling to 1 gallon to 5 gallon to this size. So it's probably 6, 7 years. And then this one is probably a 3 to 4 year old tree that I let it grow so the trunk will get thicker. And you can see it's a nice shohin. It's probably a 3 to 4 years old tree. That's fairly easy to do, but you need to keep it watered. And then this one, the same as this one, it's not as nice because the leaves are bigger, but it will reduce in size, so it should be okay. Again, you just have to make do with what you got and make the best of it. So what I'll do is I'll put them back and show the progress in about 3 to 4 months. Before the leaf drops off in the fall, which so it'd be about October. And you can see the tremendous amount of growth. And then I'll cut it again. And then the new flush of a tremendous growth in the springtime will give you more design options. So with that in mind, then, that's an update on the 3 Japanese maple trees we chop up in March or April. And thank you very much. I hope you like the video, find it informative. Please like so that I get some brownie points and get the encouragement. And also click subscription so that we'll notify you of any updates, including these. I think what I'll do is I put these in one section of the garden bonsai collection, bonsai bench, and then we'll go over them every month or 2 to show you the progress as well. So that would be 3 regular tours we did, 1 more mature, 1 work in progress, 1 is the update on the trees we did. So I hope over time you'll have a sense of ownership. Seem like you know every tree that we done. So with that in mind, thank you very much. See you again next week.